All right, welcome to Artcasters number 211, and we just got through the holiday season. So I think did we miss last week? I think we might have missed last week. No,
I think
we didn't.
last week
We're
we
staying
did.
strong.
Yeah, last week we kind of went over our 2019. So
That's
I think
right.
tonight we're going to talk about goals for 2020.
Exactly. So last time we basically just said what our highlights and accomplishments for the last year were, and now we're going to get into goals. I hate saying resolutions. I think I'm among peers on that. Maybe we can get into that a little bit. For me, why I hesitate to use the word resolution.
Resolutions are the things you pretend to do and then beat yourself up over, right?
Exactly. And but I guess also we've skipped a few art checks, and so we were going to do a really quick art check. Nothing super crazy, just a quick rundown before we get into the topic. But as usual, before we get into that and get into our goals for the next year, let's let everybody know where to find us. So you're on my channel. You know where to find me, obviously on YouTube. And since you're here, hit subscribe, like, or the bell. Actually, all three would be good. Like helps us get more viewers. Subscription helps you keep in touch with whenever I have a new thing on my feed. And then the bell notifies you when we're about to go live. So that's where you can find me. And then you can also find me on quarterlystories.com, where I'm posting pages. Then I should have a new page posted that I'll get into a little bit tonight. So go quarterlystories.com after you're done with this. So that's enough of my banter. Scott, where can everybody find your stuff?
Yeah, you can find me at circworks.com. I'm also Circworks on YouTube. And yeah, so pretty much if there's a platform and if I'm on it, it'll be Circworks.
I love it. And then Cory, where can everybody find your stuff?
You can find me at corykerr.com. And I'm doing a lot on Instagram, still on Twitter, and less active on YouTube other than the 48-hour art check. But if you want to see any of that stuff, you can just go to my link tree or my website. Either one of those will take you kind of everywhere that I am.
I love it. And the stuff you've been doing on Instagram is really cool and interesting. Makes me really want to up my Insta game. So, all right. So let's get into it. What did you guys, very quickly? We don't want to get too long because we got a big topic today. But real quickly, what did you guys get accomplished since our last art check?
I can go really fast.
Cool.
I got some work done on some ideas for a client. So I'm working on different iterations of a logo. I've made some progress on this next animation that I've kind of put off a little while ago. I had the animatic done, and so now I've illustrated the character and rigged him up. And then I ended the year with 88 total submissions to film festivals, and I've got a 48% selection rate, so about half. I've won 4 awards. One of those was a couple days ago, and I'm in 12 festivals. So that's what I've gotten done.
Man, that's pretty impressive. I think that's a lot.
So you said since we last talked, or in the last 48 hours? Because I know we didn't do Monday. So I mean, I don't know how far back. Because actually, I wrote stuff down for the Monday art check, and we didn't do it. So I don't know.
Okay, so in the last 48 hours, I've rigged this character up and drove through 3 snowstorms for 22 hours.
So that fish just add a lot of snow to perpetually slow the fish's movement, and that's Cory's 48 hours. That's That's still impressive, man. Considering all that driving, I think that's more than I would have gotten done.
Yeah.
So
I'll just quickly kind of go over what I had down for the Monday show that we missed, and then I'll get into the last 48 hours. So I filmed, edited, and premiered a trailer for Making Comics 101, the new series I'm working on. I wrapped up a new font duo, which I haven't really promoted yet, but it's on my website if you want to check that out. It's called Freezer Burn. It's 2 different fonts, a hot and cold font, kind of comic style. I did some freelance illustration. I drafted an agreement for a job that they ended up not going with. I filmed a bonus video for the YouTube series I'm working on. Took down my Christmas lights. I played what was it? Betrayal at House on the Hill with my kids. We kind of had a game night. That was fun. I jogged and I worked out. So that was that. And then in the last 48 hours, like the day after, I kind of had a hangover the day after New Year's. So, but I did kind of just took my dog for a walk, kind of came back, get some fresh air. And I basically took all the screens from like the screens from my house down, like the window screens, because they were all sun faded and everything. And I masked them off and painted them black, which I don't know. It might be easier just to replace the screens. I don't know, but well, anyway. So I did all that because I didn't feel like being creative, so I did that. And then today, what did I do? I've been what have I been working on? A bunch of stuff. Oh, I uploaded another. I filmed and edited and uploaded another video of my year-end wrap-up and personally and my goals for 2020. So I might be retouching on some of that stuff tonight. And yeah, what else? I don't know. Just some other, odds and ends and work and stuff like that. So that's what I did.
Nice. Cool. So I'll just show real quick. So I finished. I posted a new page to topis.io, so you can check that out at Quarterly Stories. Searching on topis.io on your Android or iOS device, and just search for Quarterly Stories there. It's also on joshuakemble.com under Quarterly Stories, and you can check out it's actually weird because I'm doing this is the weird part about what I'm doing lately. I'm basically finished with all the interior pages of the story of the first book that I'm going to be putting out for Quarterly Stories. And so now I'm doing all the interior matter. So when I'm updating new pages, they'll be back-ended. Like they'll be kind of like older pages, which will be interesting. I'm not really sure how to navigate that with Topis, but I might just put them up and say, pretend this happens before the story begins, that kind of thing. But anyhow, so then I also did thumbnails for the author page. And then I also inked another page that I will shortly, hopefully, be able to show. But my scanner's being a nightmare right now. So, but I'm scanning the inked page, and it's basically going to be a part 1 section at the beginning before the chapter pages in the book that kind of like separates. So it's part 1 and then part 2 when I do the second book. And that's basically it. And then aside from that, just really got back to my workout pretty hard and pretty stoked about that. So, yeah.
Cool.
There's also some weird staticky sounds. Not sure what that was. Anyhow, so yeah, so let's talk about real quickly challenges. So what challenges do you guys have? I mean, I think most of us probably have the same one, but let's share.
I drove from the Hopi Reservation to Rexburg, Idaho in one day.
All of us don't have the same one. That's insane.
that was the biggest. That was the biggest challenge. And then we stopped off at my in-laws. So I mean, that was basically we left at 8 in the morning and we got in at 1:30 a.m. And that was It's not that far. It's just the snowstorms, and like, I'm dumb. I'm the guy that passes the snowplows on the freeway because I'm just like, they're going 35 and I've got another couple 100 miles to go. So
I just want to interrupt real quick because it's relevant. So at the New Year's party I went to, I was talking to this husband and wife, and they ride bikes, and they were telling me this story about they were driving back through this snowstorm and everything like that. And so I was telling the story about you and that blanket you bought.
Oh, geez, yeah. That's a great story. It never stops being funny how stupid I am.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
That was it. So the biggest challenge is just getting back and unpacking and being gone and whatever. And I have had a cold for like a week and a half now. So
as far what we're doing, challenges.
Yeah, sorry, I'm being a bad host.
No, that's all right.
Meanwhile, juggling a scanner that's from hell.
I got a computer virus. It was basically one of the. I had gone to like my what do you call it? It's not Spotify. I started with this one company and I really liked it. It was called Moog. It was like just a music app. And I really liked it. It had these really cool features. And then somebody, I think it kept getting bought out by other things. So it's changed names now. It's called X something. I don't know. I still keep it because I like some of the theme stations on it. But I wanted to go in there and my it wasn't usually it just comes right up, but it wasn't taking my password or whatever. And then there was some button that says click here to remember your password, and it looked kind of fishy, but I didn't remember. I was just so quick that I clicked on it, and then it was basically one of these things that basically took over my Google Chrome, and so it rerouted everything to like Yahoo and threw a bunch of ads and stuff up there. So I went and had to. It was just such a stupid little mistake that and it just ended up costing me a lot of time because I downloaded one virus thing and it didn't work. And then I found another one. It was free. But when I got to the end, it says, okay, if you want to remove it, you either have to wait 48 hours or you can get the program right now. So I'm kind of opted for the 48 hours. And I wasn't sure in that amount of time if it was going to like download more crap onto my computer or whatever. But so finally the 48 hours was up and it actually did remove it. So I think I'm back in the clear again. So that was my biggest challenge. So I'm sure there are smaller ones, but we're kind of making this quick. So
yeah. So my main one was just holidays and lots of family stuff, and that balanced with apparently a scanner that seems to not be connecting to my computer, which is a more recent challenge, but nonetheless not all that fun. Okay, so let's get into plans, and maybe we can really briefly do these because we're just talking about 48-hour plans or plans for like next Monday, and then of course we're going to be getting our yearly plan after that. So what's your plan for like till Monday, Cory?
I'm going to finish this. So let's see. I have an animatic. So here's nope, it's not going to load. So here's the animatic where the fish kind of opens its mouth and reveals its skeleton.
That's cool.
Anyway, so that's kind of what's going to happen.
Love it.
I will do that, and then I will post it to Instagram and possibly YouTube. I don't know. I've got to figure out how these little micro animations work on YouTube for me because I'm not exactly sure. But on Instagram, they work really well. So that's my plan by Monday.
Love it.
Yeah. So for me, let's see. I need to get a newsletter out. Hopefully I'll get that out by Monday. I need to film another episode of the Comic Making 101 and a bonus video for that. I need to get back on like my Patreon. I got to do like an art drawing. Like I usually give away a piece of art every month. So I've got to do that. Let's see, what else? I've got to do something with my Instagram. So I want to tie that into that. We'll probably get into this more when we get into our goals, but I need to start making some kind of content that has to do with, the Comic Making 101 class, like maybe some just, I don't know, like inspirational stuff. I'm still trying to kind of figure out what I want to do that ties into that. And I need to talk to Cory about, because I know he's done some stuff with, I want to put that trailer on Instagram, or at least part of that trailer, but again, working on a PC and trying to get something over to my iPhone to upload it is always a problem with Instagram because it's only mobile.
I figured out how to do it. So
okay. I want to talk to you about that after the show. Let's see. I don't know. That's the main stuff. Just some video stuff, and then I'm working on some stuff for some of these digital products, trying to get further along on some of these too. So.
Okay. I like it. Cool. My plan is to hopefully, I'd like to ink 2 of the chapter break pages, one which is already done, get that cleaned up and scanned, and then ink another, and then have the pencils for the author page, like at least the rough pencils roughly started. And that's kind of my goal for Monday, and then maintain, the workout and stuff as well. All right. So with that out of the way, let's get into our topic. So 2020, kind of a cool year. It's a new decade. It's a really futuristic sounding year. It's one of those years that when I was a kid, I was like, in 2020, like I really expected that my car would be flying the day it turns 2020.
I thought that was going to happen in 1999, but it never did. So
I know. So while we await that, and we're stuck with Cybertrucks, which actually I really want a Cybertruck, and all you Cybertruck haters out there have no idea how cool that car is. Just get some pleather, some like spikes, some dry ice for when you open the
very Road Warrior-ish thing. I think can make it.
Yeah, agreed. You need some feathers, and then you're ready to rock. All right, so let's get into it. What do you guys? What do you plan to do in the next year? Hope to do, and then maybe like near the end we can talk about resolutions. Because I think we probably have shared opinions of resolutions. So you want to start it off? Which any of you guys particularly have a list raring to go?
I don't have a list, but I can start off because I'll be short.
I love it.
I don't really
be tall, Cory.
Yeah, well, I tried. It didn't work. I'm 5'6". That's I only get shorter from here. So I don't really plan ahead that much. So like I was listening to Scott put out a video that I was watching before this, and I am not Scott. Scott is organized and impressive and has goals and keeps track of them and all that. I was really impressed with that video, mainly because of how different I operate. And so for me, I have like major kind of big goals, and then I feel it out, and then I kind of operate in like really short term. And so the longest I've ever planned ahead was maybe like a month successfully. And so I can tell you what my plan is for the next month. But for this year, this may change, but right now it feels like I should really lean into this animation thing. And so I'm probably going to do another animated short possibly 2, depending on that. And I watched Jim Lujan. He did a feature length cut of his All That Glitters.
Oh, I got to see that. I don't think I've seen the last few episodes. I definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, he cut them all together and then added some scenes, and he's going to be submitting that to film festivals. And so I got kind of a sneak peek at it. It's a little over an hour long.
Yeah, it's great.
So good, and it made me want to work with dialogue because I typically don't.
You wouldn't know the best non-dialogue.
I did just get let's see, one of these. Where is it? There we go, on the right, upper right, best screenplay, and there's not a single spoken word in the entire short. So I thought that was funny. But yeah, I think I'd like to try to record some dialogue and do some syncing with mouths and things, and get a couple animated shorts done. And then I want to color my children's book and start shopping that around again. And I don't know a timeline on that, but I might just pull the trigger on a small print run with a Kickstarter or something like that, because I want to get that out there without. I finished it. It's done. I don't want to let it die. So I think it'll be kind of a big promotion year for me, at least for the first 4 to 6 months. But normally I just kind of feel things out. I mean, the reason I got into animation because it felt right. And the reason I did a short was because it felt right. And, and so that's kind of typically how I operate. I don't know if it feels right and it moves me closer in a direction that I want to go, then I do that thing. So
so if you don't plan out your year, then why did we have you on as a guest, Cory?
That is an excellent question. I don't know. Maybe I'm here as the bad example.
No, we're trying to carry it on from last week. So, and Cory's been on probably the last 3 or something episodes. And the holidays, it's just we don't want to bother trying to find other guests. And Cory's kind of the third official or unofficial Artcaster. So, but I don't think there's a problem with that, because I want to bring this up because I also want to give some value to everyone else, not just talk about our goals, but what other people can do. And really, what works for me, the way I plan things out, it might not work for other people. And you look at Cory, and whether he plans his stuff out for a month or a year, it really doesn't matter, because he accomplishes a ton in the year. So, you don't need to plan everything out a year, your whole year in advance or whatever. And things are going to come up and things are going to change. And this is sort of what works for me. It's just sort of a guideline. I mean, I could, things like right now, everything's very uncertain for me, because I've been kind of relying on 1 or 2 big clients, and one of those I don't know what the fate is to that. I'm still waiting, and that could really affect everything. I mean, I might even have to go look for a full-time job. I'm not sure. But so if that happens, I'm going to have to change things around and everything. But I'm still planning that stuff out. And these are all goals that I want to accomplish. And of course, you don't hit all your goals, and then you might be working on something, and you get into it, and you're saying, I don't really care about this, and you might want to switch gears too. So you don't need to plan everything out like that. And I think just like if Cory's planning things out every month, I think that's fine too. So
yeah.
It really just depends. But I mean, the most important thing is you want to be productive. I mean, you want to set goals, and whether there's monthly goals or yearly goals or whatever works for you, you kind of have to figure that out. But I totally believe in goals, and I would assume Cory believes in that too. He's just got a different way of setting them and a different time frame for setting them. So, and Josh has disappeared.
Sorry. Working on troubleshooting a scanner, but I am listening. I think I kind of fall somewhere between the two of you. But my goals tend to be, it's weird because it's like, for me, I have pretty set goals, but there are only a few. and then there's a lot of flexibility within there, but there's usually like some really big goals. So my list of goals for the year will be relatively short. But what's interesting is there's a couple like personal growth goals. There's definitely some art goals and stuff like that. But yeah, so let's like I want to hear it, Scott. I want to hear your nefarious plans for the next year for taking over the world.
Well, I kind of feel weird because it's like I just did this, but I mean, this is a whole different channel and everything. And I know there'll be some crossover because I'm sure people watch both of our channels. And it'll be a little different because I'll be talking to you guys and you guys might have questions or something, but
let's preface it too by saying like goals are like Cory was saying, and Scott, you were saying, goals are kind of flexible and also something that you work out. And so like even just having the discussion of goals, even verbally communicating them can kind of help you what is it called? Like ideation. It helps you actually like make those things into a reality. So by doing this, it's like, this can also function as like a bit of a spitballing session of like how to make those things happen. So that being said, it's like, I'm just basically in a long-winded way saying, I think it's okay if you repeat yourself.
Yeah. Well, and if somebody really wants to know how I do my goal setting, there's a link at the end of my video that I just posted today to a video from a year ago on how I use Trello, and that's kind of how I plot everything out. I think Cory uses Trello too, but probably a little different. I don't know if Josh uses it, but I do. Yeah, but I mean, I love that program and I use that all the time, and you can be as crazy as I am or scale it back a little. But it's a longer video, but it's just at the link at the end. If you if you don't, you can either watch that recent video or just scroll to the end when it's got the little cards at the end and then click on that Trello video and it'll kind of go step by step and it'll show you how to do it. And you might have to watch that video a couple times because it's kind of complex, but if anyone's interested, go for it. I don't expect everyone to do that, but anyway, so I guess I'll go. I've got my list here, so I'll just kind of go off of it. So one of my, I guess my big goal is to make the passive income, and of course I say passive in quotes because nothing's totally passive, but I want that, my digital products and everything, I want that to be sort of I'd like that to be my big money earner. And I think that's a possibility. And the other thing with setting goals, I mean, anyone could just say, I want to do this or I want to do that. But I think you have to have some kind of measurability to it or some way to achieve that. So I know just by the fact that last year I released I think 3 digital products. One of them was super successful. The other one wasn't. The other one was towards the end, and that's kind of remains to be seen how that one does. But I think, and the one continues to bring in some money. It's kind of going down now a little, but I've already got like 2 or 3 that are sort of I'm working on that I think are going to be along those lines. So, and I noticed that, a lot of people on these platforms where they've sell digital products or whatever, they've got, the more products they have, obviously that's gonna, because one product might bring in something, but then if you've got 10 products, it's gonna bring in more, and the more products you have, it's gonna serve the other products. So it's all kind of one big thing, but you've kind of got to build sort of a repertoire of different products and things like that. And that's kind of what I plan to do. And the other thing, and this is, I mean, any digital product that I put out there so far, and right now, other than maybe the original ones that were like the avatar builders, everything recently and everything going forward is all going to be comics related. So my goal is to kind of tie everything in together. I'm not going to really be doing anything else that's not kind of comics related. So the main thing will be, and this is one of my other goals, is to release the Comic Making 101 series, and that should help also build the mailing list, because a lot of the examples I'm using and a lot of the tools are part of the starter kit, which is free. So that will send people to the mailing list, so I can build that, because that's on my list here somewhere. The newsletter, I want to 3x that newsletter. Right now I'm at I've got 520 subscribers, so I'd like to triple that. And I think I can do that. I think, and it really all depends on how successful this YouTube thing is. I've got a good feeling about it, but no matter how good it is, if YouTube doesn't really, if their algorithm or whatever doesn't share it out or whatever, it might not do much, and that's not really something you can count on. So, but I think it has the potential to really grow the channel. So. But the other thing is, with all the comic related stuff, is just to niche down further into comic related content. I'd like to release 12 new virtual products, comics related. So about one a month. Some of them will be big. Some of them might just be a simple brush pack or something. But I just kind of want to build my store, whether it's my website store, my website, or my stores on Creative Market and Design Cuts and all those other places where I sell digital products and everything. Let's see. So I'm hoping, let me turn that off. Sorry about that. I'm hoping that, I'm hoping what I'd like to do if this series on YouTube is successful, I'd really like to, I'd like to hit 20,000 subs. I don't know if that's possible or not. Right now I'm under 13, so that's a big jump, but usually growth on YouTube is exponential. So if you start to hit something, it usually kind of jumps up. Like if you've seen somebody like Marshall Lee, who's been he's been on YouTube for a while and just recently kind of hit a stride, and he kind of doubled down into just doing comics content, whereas before he was kind of all over the place, and he's been consistent. And his stuff, his views he's getting more views per video than I am, and his stuff is just continually climbing. So, so hopefully, it'll be similar with me. We'll see what happens. That's it. And if you guys want to jump in, if you guys have any questions on it, just let me jump right in. And not only subscribers, see, that's sort of a vanity metric, because YouTube doesn't really promote anything to your subscribers. But if you're like me and you actually go to the subscriber tab to see what people you subscribe to are putting out, then there's something there. But I guess views, I'd like to get average 1,000 views on a video within a week. Right now I'm around 350 on average in a week, more or less. Some do better than others, but as an average. I just launched the Patreon, but I'd like to 5x that. So right now I'm $60 a month. I'd like to get to 300. Again, that kind of ties into because this is, the content I'm putting out on YouTube is free, and this course is free. There may be people that want to give back if they feel like they're getting value, and the Patreon's a good way to do that. So hopefully that will also help grow because there's a little tag at the end of all my videos for Patreon. So hopefully that'll help grow that.
Yeah.
I just need to work on marketing. And, I always say I'm bad at marketing, but sometimes when I think of marketing, I just think of after I finish a product, promoting it, which I'm bad at. But there's also, and I guess I wasn't thinking this is marketing, but even the video I did to the premiere for the trailer, that's marketing before the fact. So I think building up to something, building anticipation for something, that's why I did that trailer, and that's why I want to do some more stuff on Instagram to let people know and just build up an anticipation for this series. And I think I've already done that a little bit. It seems like people are excited from what I'm hearing in the comments. People are looking forward to it and everything. So yeah. So, and that's it. That's kind of a good feeling, and that hopefully that's an indication of how this thing will do. I need to update my website. That's something I've been saying I needed to do for a while. It's a fairly new website. It's only a year old, but there are some things that I need to do that I've got some critiques from people that are good at that kind of stuff. Another big one is I need to write issues 5 and 6 of Young and the Dead, and I want depending on where that goes, if that ends up being, if it ends up being just one more issue or two more issue, or like a larger issue of number 5. Once I write that out, I'll know, but I also want to pencil at least issue 5. Hopefully get a full issue done, pencil and ink, but knowing me, I might not be able to do that. It just takes so long for me to do that. But now that I'm penciling digitally, I'm hoping it'll go a lot faster. And even with all this other stuff that I'm working on, I'm hoping I can get that done. And that's also comics related, so that's something I'll share that will, again, kind of serve that whole thing. I want to build partnerships with some of these digital products. I've got a few people that are interested in, that have way bigger platforms than me, that want to partner on creating a digital product for either their platform or or whatever. So that's something I need to follow up on. I want to do more networking. I'm going back to Creative South. I would like to add one more, even if it's like a traveling conference or something. But I really like these conferences. I'd like to, if I can, I'd like to add one more conference, because right now I'm doing the local one. I'm doing Creative South. I'd like to add one more. And I also want to do more like local stuff, like drink and draws and AIGA events and meetups and life drawing and stuff like that. I just recently added a merch shelf to my YouTube where you can order like the t-shirts and stuff.
Yeah, how's that going, by the way?
I don't think I've sold any yet, but again, this is like this
ground floor.
Yeah. And I never have had much success selling that stuff either. I did kind of push it a little bit on the video I put up today, so we'll see if that does anything. And some people just don't know. But the one thing I'll notice, like I've looked at a lot of other people that, and not everyone's a designer, I understand that, but I've looked at a lot of other people that have those merch shelves, and without being too like tooting my own horn too much. I mean, my stuff looks a lot better than a lot of that, as far as designs, that a lot of other people are selling. So, but anyway, that's kind of irrelevant if you don't have a strong enough brand that people actually want to represent, what you've got. So, but anyway, I think this will work better than the t-shirts I had on my site, because there's a lot more people watching my videos than are going to my website. So we'll see how that happens. And if the series is a success, I'll probably do some more comics related t-shirts, but that just leads into me wanting to create like 8 more designs, or at least put 8 more designs out there. Like I already have some stuff that I just need to put on a t-shirt, like maybe my Young and the Dead logo or different things like that. So as far as business goals, those are my goals. And of course I want to continue to stay in shape and continue to work out. At some point I probably need to get out and actually date and stuff like that, but I just not thinking about that right now. But that's something that I'll probably have to think of. So so there's some personal stuff, personal goals and things too. But as far as that's the bulk of it. That's the bulk of my goals. So
nice.
And if anyone had already watched my video, then you just heard me repeat myself pretty much.
I like it though, and I like that you mentioned I don't know, you were talking about kind of liking goals that you can that are measurable, and at least in management they tend to call that like actionable goals. Mm-hmm. Like if you don't give people actionable goals, then you're kind of setting them up for failure. Whereas in the case of us as artists, we're our own managers. So it's like we have to kind of give ourselves actionable goals, because otherwise, like if you don't have like a step 1 or step 2, it's like it's pie in the sky, and that can be pretty daunting. And generally that kind of ends up in like resolution territory, which I think we're going to get into in a bit. But I like it. I like that those all seem achievable. And dude, I've seen people go from 10 to 20 in a year. I've seen bigger.
I mean, usually if something hits, it hits.
Possible.
But see, it's hard to count on that. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to control. But
yeah, because right now, I mean, my channel isn't growing right now. My views and my subscribers are dropping now. So I'm hoping that this changes that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think the comic. I mean, I think if people aren't insane, the comic workshop should really add to that,
Well, yeah,
add to the growth rather than.
And when I was doing 100 Days of Making Comics, that did pretty well. Especially, like, I think the first, when I was doing the daily, it might have been too much. But when I went to like a weekly 100 Days of Comics, and it's possible I might even add some of those in there. So I'll do some kind of update on how I'm doing with Late Young and the Dead, where there's another weekly update. But my goal with the new series, and I'm going to put out this Monday. So the new series is going to launch on the 13th, which is not this Monday, but the following Monday. But this Monday, I'm going to put like an introduction. So I'll let people know all about what it is, when it's going to come out, who it's for, all that kind of stuff. So you could kind of look at that as like an episode 0, maybe, I guess. But so that'll be Monday. But yeah, I mean, when I was doing weekly 100 Days of Making Comics, those tend to do pretty well. And anytime I put up any kind of comic video, it seems like it does better. So so I'm kind of more just kind of trying to give the audience kind of what they want, I guess.
And I mean, if that's what you want to do, if that's where kind of your heart is, with comics and everything, then that's the perfect type of content and tutorial. I mean, because you're not chasing a trend, even though what you're doing, I think, could hit trends, but you're not one of those people that's like, I see that this is trending, so I'm going to get into that. Like, you would make comics whether or not it was trending. And so just using that as an opportunity to, to like build an audience is just smart. Yeah,
because I just hate to be in a position where I just, like, if I just did some crazy video, like when I went out to California, when I went out and met Josh, I did a video at Disneyland where I did a sketch for every land in Disney. If that would have hit, which it didn't, a lot of people didn't care. But if it would have hit, then it'd be like, oh boy, what do I do now? Do I got to keep going back to Disneyland and do these type of videos? I mean, there's certain, or like my art hack videos, there's only so many art hacks that I just can't continue to do those, even though those ones were pretty successful. So
they're successful, but are you like a hack guy? You know what I mean? Like, do you like doing the hacks?
I'm not. I like tips, and like when I do something like that, I'm interested in it. So I like that stuff. But and a lot of the comments that I get on this video is that I thought, they're like, I thought I was going to be like stuff I've already heard before, and half the stuff I've never seen. So I mean, I really went deep on, I mean, there's a bunch of, if you just look up art hacks, there's a bunch of art hacks out there, and they're all like basically kind of stupid stuff.
Right.
I think the stuff that I gave is a little, has a little more, value to it, but there's only so much that I know or that I've seen or that I know how to do that I just couldn't. And I did 3 of those videos, and because I like on my newsletter, I continue to put out art hacks. And every time it's like, okay, every month I put out one of these newsletters. It's like, oh, what's my art hack going to be this time? Because I got something. So
yeah, it's a hard thing with YouTube because the monetary payback, even if you get like 200,000 subscribers or whatever, can be relatively slim if you end up stuck in a loop of doing something you hate. Like, because in those cases, it's like, well, there's a lot of day jobs where you can do something you hate for a lot, like a lot more pay. And so it's like, it's one of those balancing acts, like where if you're doing YouTube and it starts monetizing and promoting your own products and it's like something you dig, it's like, that's the ideal. But yeah, that's always been like, that always sounded to me like one of my worst nightmares, is like the idea of being like stuck, like having to be the, I don't know, like what, stuck in a loop, like having to do something. So I think it's cool that you're approaching it authentically, because the growth you're getting is organic. And I think if something does hit, like hopefully it's not something you hate doing,
And this is something I've been wanting to do for a long time.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of time that goes into these things, and I wasn't able to do that until now. So
I love it.
And there's really, the other thing is, surprisingly, there's really nothing out there like that's that intensive that goes. I mean, I've seen people start something and then they kind of bail after a while, but there's at least not for free on YouTube. I mean, you could probably go to like a Skillshare or Udemy and find something similar that you have to pay for. But there's, as far as I know on YouTube, there's nothing that's that, that's that structured and that basically takes you, and again, even if you watch this whole series, it's not like you're going to, I can't teach everything about penciling in 1 or 2 episodes. There's just no way. So it's touching on the basics, but you have to go from there and you have to continue your education based on that. Or, you
I love it though.
Just on penciling, so
I love it.
but it's still going to be probably more information or the basics or the most important parts of each section, whether it's writing or penciling or inking or, any of that stuff.
Yeah, and Jeff said, "Good job getting to 13,000." It's
not quite there yet, but I'm getting there, Jeff. Thanks.
You're close. You will be by the end of next year easily.
Oh well, hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully, like in a couple.
I
weeks.
want to get to 20,000 next year, so that's the goal.
But yeah. Cool. I love it. I think it's cool, and I think that's something I would have killed for coming. Even when I was in college, I was going to say coming out of college, but even when I was in college, because they didn't really have a comic specialization, and so a lot of stuff I had to learn the hard way. And it's cool that you're going to be giving people like a launch pad. Like hopefully there's some young creators. Like that's another cool byproduct outside of just like followers and stuff. It's like hopefully there's some new people who like are artists who just get turned on to comics because of that.
Yeah,
get them
that's the hope.
Addicted to our crazy comic drug habit.
Yeah, it's so amazing. Anytime, like if I was at a convention or someplace where somebody's seen my videos or just in the comments when they say, you really helped me out with this or whatever. That's really amazing. That's what people are looking for. And that's the other thing that could make this successful, is because even though a lot of what I do is, tips and advice and stuff like that, a lot of it centers around, I also, I use my work as an example, and I'll use some of that in this too. But for the most part, this is not about me. Like the video I put out today, where I talk about my goals, it's for me. It's so I can look back and say, oh, this is where I was. And so it's sort of a time capsule and everything. But I hope, I still hope that people can learn from that video. But in the case of this series, it's all for the audience. It's not for me at all. It's not that I don't get anything out of, but it's not me. There are, there is a hope that I'll get, like I said, some people to my Patreon or some people to get on my mailing list or whatever. So in a way it's advertising, but the content itself, if you just want to learn and and that's all you want, then it's free. There's nothing, I'm not asking anything of anyone. So
awesome.
Well, that's just,
I love it.
Help me promote it. That's the one thing I am asking.
That's just a basic content marketing play.
Yeah.
So content marketing is awesome because it works really, really well, but a lot of people don't understand it. But what you're doing is just straight up content marketing, which but for the audience, if anybody doesn't know what that is, the idea is that you produce content for free, setting yourself up as the expert in that field. And then people, buy from you and support you because they enjoy the content that you're creating.
Right.
And so it's kind of a long tail thing. It's not
very long tail. I've been at it for so long.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I love it. And I love the preview video too is great. And it looks like super comprehensive. And you're right. I don't think I've seen it done on YouTube. So that'll be interesting. Cool. So I want to get into some of mine, if that's okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
So one is like my website store section needs to be updated. Like Amazon changed their links thing, and that's how I built the whole store section. So I have to kind of go through there and link people to all the different books and stuff that I'm in. Because right now, if you go to the store section, it's just blank. and that's going to be a headache. So I have to do that by the end of next year. I want to finish assembling quarterly stories. I need to, once I'm done assembling it, get some preview copies and try to get quotes from artists and writers I admire for the back of the book, because that'll help sell it. I'd like to do a brief video series, a kind of produced video series on the book, like the promoting and building a Kickstarter and going to conventions and all of that, like walking people through the entire process. But I want that to be after the book's designed. Like I kind of want to do that after. I want to let's see. Other than that, I want to probably do some Comic-Cons and definitely want to kickstart the book. I think at this point I'm kind of interested in that. Nervous about it because I feel like I'm like the last person I know who has not run a Kickstarter, and I'm frightened of that 0 or like the 1,500 or whatever. But I'm gonna try to run a Kickstarter for it this year. Before running a Kickstarter, I really want the book to actually be printed. So that's a catch. Is like when I actually thinking of running it through Kindle. KDP publishing or whatever, and I'm not so sure about the quality, so I want to make sure that I have it uploaded and ready and like have a hard copy to make sure I'm not like getting everyone I know and their friends and stuff to like buy a book that might suck. That freaks me out. So I want to make sure the print quality is good. That's pretty much my plan for the year, like art wise, other than just kind of keeping up with freelance and all that regular stuff.
You're not going to throw an animated music video in there?
I might. So there is, on a creative level, I do want to finish our EP. I want to finish mixing it and releasing it. So by the end of next year, I'd like to have an album with my band's music on it, no saboteurs. So hopefully that'll be coming. That better be done in a year. If it's not done in a year, I'm going to speculate it may never be done. Let's see, on a personal, and that seems like it should be doable, but I also want to release it. So I want to actually have it, released on all digital platforms, and also have like potentially like a hard copy that I can sell and stuff like that. And that'll cross function so that if I do gigs, I can sell my comics. If I do comic conventions, I can sell gigs. I feel like the two could interweave, and I feel like I could sell a lot of copies of my autobiography comic at bars when we play shows. Like it's a heady book, so I feel like people are into like indie and punk rock and shoegaze and stuff might actually like what I write. Let's see. So other than that, personally, I want to be politically more active. So the end of this year, I started doing some canvassing for a local candidate, and I realized I want to make that a goal to actually do more often, because I find myself wasting long amounts of time like getting in political conversations or discussions with people, and they really are kind of fruitless. Like nobody's mind gets changed. Usually people just end up mad, or they end up like, oh, that's interesting, and kind of iron sharpens iron. So it's good discussions to have, but at the same time, like nothing really changes from it. And so I want to actually be more active politically, whether that's like, even locally with like homeless or something like that, or, locally with campaigning and local politics. I want to actually be more active in it so I can earn the right to be mad if things aren't working politically. I don't know if that makes sense. But that's a goal for next year. I want to interrupt and argue less. This is something I notice about myself. In leadership, like honestly on the Artcasters, I have a tendency to interrupt people or argue, and I think I could actually gain a lot in my life just by asking more questions, and kind of having more curiosity and being more active, being more of an active listener. And so that's a goal. And then personally to continue hardcore paying down debt. My wife and I have been really actively getting rid of debt this year, and it's a slow slog, but we're getting there. And like I want to continue that, which is a hard thing, but it's necessary. And then working out daily, and I think that's pretty much it for this year's goals. So that's all stuff I want to do this year. Yeah. So
I like that. I hadn't thought of talking about financial goals. And without getting into specifics, I think this year, I approached a goal that I liked, and then I think this coming year in 2020, I don't want to take on a ton of freelance, but I would like to have 15 to 20% of my income be freelance work.
nice.
Which means I want to land. This is one of the reasons I've been excited about animation, is because I like doing animation, but also it pays significantly better than graphic design, and better than the type of illustration that I do. So I think if I could land a few high-paying clients rather than a bunch of low-paying clients, because I'm still more interested in doing my own projects.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind hitting like a 15% of my income be freelance. But I'd like to maintain that number at around like 2 or 3 clients.
That's possible.
Yeah, it is. And it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. And I don't think 15% is crazy.
No,
It's not a super crazy goal.
No, that's totally doable. And you're right. You could do that with, 2 or 3 good clients, like lucrative clients.
Yeah.
Honestly, 2 or 3 lucrative projects.
Right. Yeah. Actually, that's what I meant, was just projects. So I just don't want to nickel and dime it and make hundreds on a project. I'm past that point in my career where I'm doing that. So
Agreed. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So did we rock through all our goals? I mean, obviously there's going to be more that come up throughout the year. And then obviously I think a lot of these things might change. They might shift gears. Things happen. Like I remember it was like, I forget when the Great Recession happened, but when that hit, I was probably having one of the peak times of my life in freelance for clients. And the bottom dropped out, and every client I had dropped off the face of the map within like a month.
Wow.
And that was a nutty thing because I just moved to a different state. And that taught me something about just plans, in the sense of you can plan, but then there's things that just happen. So that being said, I think these goals all sound to me, it doesn't sound like any of us have crazy unachievable goals, maybe a little ambitious, but I think we can all do it.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm looking at an animated short, I think I'm a little bit faster than I was, but I mean, I finished that animated short 3 months ago, 2.5 months ago, and it took me 6 weeks. and it's 2.5. It's just shy of 3 minutes. And so if I were to do like a 6 to 9 minute animated short, I mean, that's like a quarter of my year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would have to get, way more planned out than I'm currently used to doing. So anyway, those are just some things that I'm thinking about. Like that was one of the few things I think that I planned ahead with. Because like I knew the semester break was coming. I knew, that I was going to have a couple weeks to be able to do some stuff. And so I was able to kind of write the story before the semester ended, and then get the assets going after the semester kind of took off. And so that's something that I think will be kind of interesting, is to kind of see, like, I want to do a longer short and I want it to have dialogue. There's some new challenges to it. So anyway, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how like all that plays out, because there's a lot of unknown stuff with kind of my goals, for me at least. I mean, other people do it, but I don't.
No, I mean, I even with the goals I was just mentioning, I approached that with a lot of trepidation, because like I said, I've never run a Kickstarter. I've never, it's been a long time since I put out like a book on my own, and just fulfillment, all sorts of stuff. I get I get full of anxiety, and then have to tell myself to just continue to kind of hit the block next, rather than kind of look at the entire wall. But it's, if you think about these things, I think in general, like goals, if you're making goals that aren't kind of like, well, I'm going to do more of the same, then there's going to be a little bit of uncertainty in the process, because it's like, it's kind of how growth happens. So yeah.
Have you seen Frozen 2 yet?
Not yet. No.
So yeah, and I know that's probably not super high on your list, but there's a phrase in there that I really like. One of the characters is obsessed with planning ahead, and I know you and I are existentialists, and part of being an existentialist for me is that I like a philosophy that allows me to make excuses for being present and not worrying about things in the future. And anyway, she comes across the idea that she just has to do the next good thing. Like that's what you've got, is you're here in this cave. You can't foresee every step along the journey, but you can figure out what the next step is. So what is the next good thing that you need to do? Right now. And I really like how they kind of articulated that in that movie, because it just kind of describes how I feel about life. Is here's where I am today. What am I going to do today and in the next couple days to move towards the end goal? I have no idea how to get to the end goal. Mm-hmm. I know what the end goal is, and I know the direction that it is, and I have a vague idea on the compass of which way I should be going, but like, I don't even know what I don't know about the journey. But I can see, the next 100 yards in front of me. And so I know what I've got to figure out there. That's a really good explanation of kind of how I do this stuff. Is I don't really know. I just know that right now I need to head that direction, and it looks like there's a couple of these obstacles, and I've got to build something.
Yep. Yeah, and I think maybe we can kind of cap it by referencing why we don't use the word resolution, and I think that ties into it. For me, I've always had a pet peeve about resolutions, and I'm sure people always talk about this kind of thing, but for me, one of the things that bothers me about resolutions is almost every year I meet somebody who's got a resolution to lose weight, and then the next year they've gained 20 pounds. And their resolutions to read more books, and then the next year they've read a paragraph, like, and I think my main issue with resolutions is a lot of it can sometimes kind of be like wish thinking, like basically like, oh, it would be nice to have a castle, that kind of thing,
Right.
Without any kind of preparation or actual like actual actionable goals set. And so like the thing I like about what we've all shared is none of this stuff that we're talking about is for anybody who's followed like Artcasters or the 48-hour art check is going to like shock the world.
Yeah.
Like I don't think anything we all shared, even the more ambitious of our goals, I don't think people are going to go, oh, that's out of left field. Like, how's that going to work out? Because I think it's stuff we've all actually actively been kind of carving at, or at least is in the wheelhouse of kind of what we've been carving at. So it's not like this drastic, unattainable thing. It's like, I think we're all talking about things that we could actually envision happening and probably have quite a few ideas of what those first pathways are to get there. Now, whether we'll get there or not, like that is still speculation, right? That's all goals.
Yeah.
But I feel like just by saying resolution, I feel like I guess my issue with resolution is like I don't think it has a lot to do with people's resolve. Like I don't think people are actually resolved on resolutions, which is a bizarre thing. But but that's why I tend to shy away from like being like, oh, this is my New Year's resolution. I don't know what's your take on New Year's resolutions?
I think it's a trend. I think it's a gimmick. I think it's something that is made. I don't know who's profiting off of it, but to me, it feels like there's somebody that's figured out, how to profit off it. Like Santa Claus, Coca-Cola invented Santa Claus, right? And then Sears Roebuck and everybody else decided, hey, this thing works. This whatever really obscure character from lore, we could use that to sell more crap to people. And I kind of feel like I haven't dug into this, but I feel like resolutions. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if like the diet industry just came up with this idea.
Like Kellogg invented, and didn't Hallmark invent Valentine's Day for the most part?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and Hellsberg created diamonds, right? So I mean, well, the diamond engagement ring thing,
right? So yeah, I just
is it De Beers? Sorry, I think it's De Beers that did that.
Yeah, for the most part. But I mean, yeah. So to me, I don't know what conspiracy theory I'm going with right now, but it doesn't feel
piling on it. Boom.
Yeah.
Gyms.
It doesn't feel authentic to me.
Yeah.
It feels like you're following some Instagram trend, or whatever, rather than making legitimate change in your life. You are, you're just doing what all those social media influencers are doing. And so for me, I don't like the idea of a year-long goal, but I do like the idea of saying, I'm gonna publicly stake a claim that I am going to head in this direction with the intent of doing these things. And so we're talking business, right? We were talking earlier, SMART goals, which is specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and timely. And so those are goals that are kind of micro goals. They're achievable. You can measure them. There's direct, like, you don't want to say something like, I want to be happier. You want to say something like Scott said, where it's like, within 12 months, I would like 20,000 followers on YouTube. That is measurable. It's not ridiculous. So it's totally achievable.
Yeah.
There's a metric attached to it. There's some actions that he can take to move in that direction. The goals that I like are called BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals. And the BHAG theory is it's like the moonshot initiative. You know, the president of the United States stands up there and says, we're going to go to the moon. And everybody's like, whoa, what? And I like that because you still have to figure out those SMART goals, but you have, you know, a large, important direction that you're heading.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you could look at everything that Scott is doing. He's building from a big, large direction that he's heading, and then being smart about that by breaking that down into, you know, what does that look like on a week-to-week basis? What does that look like on a month-to-month basis? And those two things are really important. I'm less good at the smaller planning stages. I'm better at the, you know, we're going that way. The BHAGs I'm good at. The SMART goals I'm not good at keeping track of.
Yeah, I like that though, because I do think that's a good thing you're bringing up, like the idea of the big audacious goal, because I think you gotta, in the industry that we're in, you have to maintain hope, and it's really hard to do sometimes. And you know, you will meet plenty of people along the road who've been at it who've just lost all of it, like lost all hope, and they're still creating and stuff, but usually they're not super happy. And so like there's this hope that's attached to almost everybody's like art career, whether that's like one day I'll have stuff at like the MoCA or the, you know, I'll get to Art Basel or something. Like that's just like on the fine art end, right?
Yeah.
On the illustration end or cartooning end, maybe it's like one day I'll get an Eisner, or one day I'll get this giant client, or one, you know what I mean? Or one day I'll have like, you know, 100, 200,000 YouTube followers, whatever it is. It's like, it's, you know, pie in the sky a little bit, but if you make little broken down actionable goals that can get you oriented in a way where if the dice roll in a certain way, you're there. Like, because there's a lot of times where like the opportunity for like that big goal will open up, and if you're not right in that spot when that opportunity opens up, you've missed it. And so there's elements of luck, but it's like we're all kind of pacing ourselves to try to kind of get further and closer to like wherever that hope is leading us, you know? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I still have really big hopes for comics and for what my comics will do and the amount of readers we'll get, you know, I'll get and stuff. But it's like, you know, I'm realistic enough to know a lot of those things may not happen, but I'm still aiming for it.
Yeah.
And vying for it. And part of the way to get there is like, well, in order to do that, I need to have some comics and I need them to be out,
Right.
and I need readers, and I need to be at conventions. So it's like, there's, you know, that back planning part kind of ties in. Scott, what's your thoughts on resolutions before we wrap this whole thing up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much in alignment with you guys. I know Ryan from Dream Syndicate brought up The Secret, which I guess you could kind of equate that to kind of the whole idea of, you know, New Year's resolutions and stuff. And Jeff was asking what The Secret was, and it's basically I've got a DVD of it in my cupboard that this girl I dated gave to me to watch, and I watched it. I'm like, oh, this sounds like a whole lot of crap to me, but she left it here, so I've got a copy of it if anyone wants it. But it's basically like, oh, you kind of wheel things into your world. The only thing I would say, if there's any truth to that, and this is just my opinion, but if there's any truth to that, it's because I think if you put out positive vibes, you will get positivity back. I mean, it's only
Agreed.
It only makes sense. So I think if there's nothing wrong with doing that, but to say that there's, I think it's been a while since I watched that video, but I think there's almost like certain points, like if you do so many things right, you get so many things in return. I don't remember exactly, but it was, it's
from what I recall, the general premise of it is like you kind of just like
the universe will deliver.
Yeah, so you're like, I'm going to be a rock star, and I'm going to believe I'm a rock star. I'm going to live like I'm a rock star, and you know, eventually that's just going to become reality.
Right. Yeah.
And which there's a weird part of it of like if you've ever worked so I'm an art director, Cory's teaching and art directed, Scott's led group projects and art directed, other designers and stuff. And it's like, if there's one thing on a team that I don't know if I believe in the secret, but I definitely believe that negativity and nihilism when it comes to productivity and getting things done and accomplished is it's like grabbing a giant stick and just shoving it in the spoke of a running motorcycle. It's just you can derail any forward movement with super negative thinking. And I've seen it like I was mentioning those cartoonists, those older cartoonists who I've met many of them who've just lost all hope. A lot of those guys have literally shot themselves in the foot. They've gotten to a point where they've just lost all hope, and so they've completely derailed their own career through negativity. And it's this fine thing of manifesting things from the universe. Yeah, it might be a little hokum and stuff, but the one kernel of truth that might be from that, I think Jeff touched on it too, because he said positive thinking is better than negative thinking most times. And that's true. It's like, if you're not constantly kind of trying to find an angle and an angle of light to kind of move towards, you can really quickly become a very miserable person, and also not really make a lot of progress, And so it's to me, you have to kind of have a little bit of belief that you can get to a place that might be unrealistic.
Yeah. Well, the challenge is, and the insidious nature of the secret is that it takes something that is true, and then it twists it to make it easy.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Is the problem with the secret? Because I've had this discussion at length. It was really big in 2006, 2007, 2008. That was everybody was all about The Secret or whatever.
Oh yeah.
The idea is if I just want it and I will it and I think about it, it'll happen. And that's true if you act on those things. And that's the dangerous part of The Secret is they don't go into for example, if I want to be a really good artist, I've got to get my butt in my seat and draw for thousands of hours. And, but that's not what The Secret is about. There's no action to it. But if I want to shoot myself in the foot, I can put thousands of hours in a chair, drawing, and have a horrible attitude about it and be super pessimistic and mentally kick the crap out of myself, and those hours will be wasted. I'm not going to get anywhere. So the challenge with The Secret is that it's partially true. It's just the false part is the part that will tank you. And so it's anybody that's selling you on something that says, here's the easy way to do this. They're going to give you some kernels of truth. It's just the rest of it is going to be super detrimental. And what sucks about life is that none of it is easy. It all takes work. There's nothing about it where you can just say, here's how you do this without having to work hard.
And there's another reality layer to it as well, which is there's only so many slots for professional athletes, right?
Right.
So if you're really good at football, you're the best football player on your high school football team, the odds, no matter how good you are, of getting to play that professionally, in the big leagues, is pretty slim. And that doesn't mean that nobody would make it to the big leagues if they all thought they couldn't. But it is highly possible that someone could live their life being very deluded that they're going to make it to the big leagues and never quite get there. That happens in this reality we all live in too.
Yeah.
And so it's that's one of those things also that I feel is really artificial about The Secret is the idea of like, if you will it, it's good to have will and willpower and desires to kind of head certain places, but it sort of puts too much control in your own car. Whereas sometimes there's going to be a car that swerves out of nowhere that just derails you, no matter how good of a driver you are.
Yeah.
And, or sometimes you're starting with a different kind of car than somebody who's got a race car. You know, it's not like, so it doesn't help to be defeatistic about things, but it also is important to be, I think, realistic in your assessment of things, so that you can then be unrealistic and shoot for the stars or whatever. But at the same time, you know, I have seen people who've spent thousands of hours drawing and just are not, they're just not, nothing clicked with drawing. I've seen that.
That's depressing.
You know, I've seen people spend hundreds of hours trying to play guitar and they have no ear for music. And it's like they just can't hear a dead note. And if you can't hear a dead note, you're going to have trouble with music, you know? If you can't hear two keys that aren't in sync with each other. And it's like there's some people who just can't. Or if you can't keep time, like you can't do 1, 2, 3, 4, it's going to be really hard to do music. Doesn't mean it's impossible, but it's like, you know, there are some things that just, you know, I guess what I'm saying is like, I feel like The Secret kind of pretends that somebody who can't keep count could, you know, have an equal chance at playing, you know, Beethoven or something. And I don't think that's the case, you know?
Yeah. Well, I always tell people, and I think this is true, that's why I say it, but it's time and focused effort. You know, talent comes into play, but like it's focused effort. Like I actually had this conversation with my daughter today. She is behind in math in school because they're supposed to be doing 10 minutes a day working on their math facts. And she has technically met the time requirement, but she's been doing it like really distracted. She plays with her brother. She like drifts off. She stares at the ceiling. She forgets where she is. It's not 10 minutes of focused effort.
Yeah.
It was just 10 minutes near the thing that she should be doing. And so she's behind. And so, you know, if I wanted to get good at the guitar, like I have to focus in on the things that I'm bad at. You know, it's not just time with the guitar, because I could sit here and hold a guitar and I could move the strings around with my fingers and I could like fret the strings or whatever. But like, if I'm not actually like focusing, like, okay, I need to learn a scale. I need to learn, you know, like how to hold a pick properly. I need to like, where am I right now? And what do I need to learn to get to where I want to be? And I'm going to focus on those things and put time towards that focus. It doesn't matter. I can sit there and just hope all I want and think and wish and imagine and visualize and do all that crap, which is helpful, but without focused action, it's useless. You're wasting your time. You're delusional.
Yeah. So like, I forget who said this. It was a musician who was talking about like practice and the importance of practice, but they were basically saying everybody has this false idea of like Eric Clapton and Jimi Hendrix, that they became these like wizards on guitar just because they were born with the gift of guitar. And a lot of them just kind of ignore the biography of Jimi Hendrix when he was like 12 playing guitar about 7 to 8 hours a day for like his whole childhood, like all you know, young adulthood. And so like you play that often and you kind of get to wizardly levels. Now, will you be Jimi Hendrix? Probably not. But, you know, it's like it is that kind of fine balance of like, there's rarely an anomaly. And I agree with you. Like, I think dedicated focused time and practice beats talent 9 times out of 10, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you're practicing jump shots and somebody's really tall and just gifted at sports, but does no practicing, there's pretty high odds you might actually at some point surpass that person, you know? So anyhow, whatever.
Yeah.
I think we've done it. Is there anything you guys kind of want to wrap up on beyond that?
No, not me. I think we worked our way around the topic. So
Awesome. I like Victor was saying he's. Let's see. I've tried to will it, but I've yet to become a wizard, so the secret didn't work. So he said I decided to be an artist again, or instead. So, all right. Yeah, this is a good point too. How do you become monstrously muscular? Dude, put in the reps, and and that's the thing too. Like I work out daily. I have friends who, if they worked out the same amount as me, would be like 3 times the size of me and look buff as hell because they just gain muscle a lot easier. And it's like there are different physiques, right? Like there's ectomorphs or whatever, and like other things that sound like Ghostbusters phrases.
So that sounds like a ghost.
I know. But anyhow, it's like there's some people who are thinner, bigger, like some people gain muscle easier. But there is this weird common denominator of like, yeah, if you work out, you end up being fit and in shape and gaining muscle. If you don't, you don't. It's just it's a weird thing, So yeah, that's the common thread. So let's all go out there this year and just kind of kill it and make awesome art. I'd love to hear everybody's plans too, and what your guys' goals are for this next year, 2020. And let's hope it's a good one, right? It's what, the second day of the year?
Yeah.
It's going well so far.
I don't know. All right, so that we don't keep going until it's the third day of the year, I will call it. Thanks to everybody who joined us in the chats. You're on my channel, so you know where to find me. If you haven't, hit subscribe, hit the bell, like, comment, let me know what your goals are for this year, stuff like that. And if you're so inclined, go to quarterlystories.com in about an hour and a half, because once we're done with this, I'll have fixed my scanner. I'll scan the new page and have it up tonight. So by the time you've watched this, it's probably up, quarterlystories.com. Cory, where can everybody find your work?
You can find me at corykerr.com. That's let me put that on the screen for everybody. Where'd the thing go? There you go. corykerr.com. You can also hit up this link tree. I'm trying to get that link tree out there more, but basically go here. And if you are on Instagram, go follow me on Instagram. Go comment on Instagram things. This is my year of Instagram. I'm really focusing on doing more short tutorials and showing off my work and doing a lot of yes, that's great. Thanks, Josh. A lot of stuff. Where I'm pushing Instagram because I feel like that's a good platform to be in. But yeah, so corykerr.com, and I'm all over Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and whatever else.
I love it. And you guys should check out the Instagram. Cory's been doing really cool things with stories and the multiple I don't even know what that's called. Is that stories where there's multiple posts?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but you've been doing really cool stuff with it that I think is pretty smart and awesome, and it has animations and stuff too. So you guys should check that out. All right, Scott, where can everybody get free, awesome comic assets? I'm working on comics. We're talking about comics. We have goals for comics. What if I want some digital comics?
Well, Frank says he doesn't want free stuff. He wants to buy the toolkit. And you can do either or at my website at circleworks.com. You can get the free Comic Maker Starter Kit, or you can get the Comic Maker Toolkit, which is on, I think it's on sale right now. So, and
I love it. So I would recommend get the toolkit that's free as a free sampler, right? And then like you will love it, and then you will buy the toolkit. Like I guarantee you, it's amazing.
You get the starter kit for free, and you get the toolkit, and you get both, because there's even with the starter kit, there's a couple of things that aren't in the toolkit, and if you get the toolkit, there's tons of stuff that's not in the starter kit. So, but yeah, that's all at circleworks.com. I'm also at Circleworks on YouTube, and sometimes you can see the Artcasters on my channel over on YouTube too, because it switches back and forth from Josh's channel to my channel. Typically we try to do it on a Thursday night, but it could be a different day, just depending on what's going on. But if you want to know exactly when we're going to post the Artcasters, we have a mailing list for that as well. And we don't spam you or anything like that. We just usually about 30 minutes ahead of time, we'll send out a notification with an invite with a link, and you'll know exactly when we're doing the show. And there's a link to that, and there should be a link to that in the description of this video.
Awesome. That's great. Okay. There is a link, so click there, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Later.
See ya.